The house beyond Hollow Creek. It started with a dare. One of those late night, too tired to be smart kinds of dares. I was 24, bored, and apparently stupid enough to accept a challenge from a guy named Kenny, whose idea of fun included things like firecrackers and gasoline. Spend the night in the Hollow Creek house, he said, grinning, just until sunrise. I'd heard the rumors. Everyone had. The house had been abandoned for decades, sitting at the end of a dirt path that disappeared into the woods like it wanted to forget itself. Some said it used to be a funeral home. Others swore it was where a preacher had gone mad and walled up his family in the basement. I didn't believe in ghosts. I do now. Hollow Creek isn't on most maps. It's more of a landmark than a town. A scatter of empty barns, rusted mailboxes, and one gas station that still sells VHS tapes. The house was a good 10-minute walk from the main road, tucked behind a wall of trees that leaned in like they were eavesdropping. It looked like something time had tried to bury. Roof sagging, windows boarded from the inside, front door half rotted but still closed. I brought a flashlight, a bottle of water, and a fully charged phone. None of it helped. The floor groaned as I stepped inside. Not creaked, groaned, like the house knew I didn't belong there. The air smelled like mildew and iron, dry rot and something sour underneath. The kind of scent that settles deep into your sinuses and makes your eyes water. The main hallway stretched longer than it should have, flanked by rooms choked with dusty furniture and warped wallpaper. I found the living room, or what had been one, a broken couch, a TV with the screen punched in, a doll's head lying face down on the carpet. I picked the corner farthest from the windows and set up my things. Laid out my sleeping bag, cracked a joke to myself. Then I heard the thump. Upstairs, I told myself it was a raccoon, maybe a bird, but raccoons don't walk in patterns. And this was distinct, slow, measured, one step, pause, two steps, pause. I held my breath and aimed my flashlight at the staircase. The light shimmered in the dust like a tunnel into the dark. I climbed stupidly, one creaking step at a time. At the top, I found a long hallway with closed doors on either side. The noise had stopped. I opened the first door on the left. Inside was a child's bedroom. Empty, except for a small chair in the corner, turned to face the wall. And on the wall, deep scratches, 4 long lines like fingernails. Back downstairs, I found an old cabinet tucked behind the broken TV. Inside it, a dusty shoebox filled with random junk, old receipts, bent keys, a tarnished crucifix, and a VHS tape. No label. There was no way to play it, not there. But I took it anyway, because something in me needed to know what was on it. Because when I turned it over, written in faded ink on the bottom was my last name and my date of birth. Back home, I borrowed an old VHS player from my neighbor, told him it was for a film project. It took a few tries to get it working. The player whined, coughed, then finally accepted the tape. Static, then darkness, then the hallway of the Hollow Creek house, but decades ago. The wallpaper wasn't peeled. The furniture looked new. The house was alive. The camera turned to the stairs, slowly climbed. Each step moaned, and then it panned across a child's room. Same chair, same wall. Only this time, the chair was occupied. A little girl sat in it, perfectly still. The video cut to black. And then one final frame, a baby in a hospital, wearing a tag, with my name on it. That night I couldn't sleep. Every creak of my apartment made me freeze. Around 3 a.m., I heard something, a whisper, faint. Under my bed? I didn't move. I barely breathed. Then I heard it again, my name, whispered slowly, like someone tasting the word. I turned on every light and sat in the bathtub until sunrise. When I checked my phone later, I found a new video. It wasn't from me. It was from an unknown number, and it was footage of me sleeping in my bed last night. I tried to tell Kenny the next day. He laughed at first. Then he saw my face, said I looked like I hadn't slept in weeks. I told him about the VHS, the girl, the hospital tag, the video on my phone. "You're just messing with me," he said. "You probably filmed it yourself." I didn't argue. I didn't try to convince him. I just nodded, because something told me the more I talked about it, the more real it would become. That night I locked every door, every window, slept with a knife under my pillow. At 3:17 a.m., the bedroom door creaked open. I didn't move. Couldn't. It was like something pinned me to the mattress. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a shadow, small, like a child, standing just beyond the doorframe, watching. I should have burned the tape, thrown the phone in the river, left town. Instead, I went back. The Hollow Creek house stood exactly as I left it, but something was off. The front door wasn't just open, it was gone, removed from the hinges entirely. Inside, the furniture had changed. It wasn't dusty anymore. The wallpaper was cleaner. The couch was upright, like the house was slowly rebuilding itself. I climbed the stairs again. In the hallway, all the doors were open now. And in the child's room, the chair was facing me, empty. But on the wall behind it, "Welcome home," scratched deep. The house was cleaner. That was what bothered me most. Not that it was haunted, not the messages on the walls, but that something was taking care of it. I wasn't alone here. I never had been. As I turned to leave the child's room, I noticed something new. A door at the end of the hallway I hadn't seen before, painted the same color as the wall. No knob, just a small iron ring bolted near the top. I pulled. It opened with a shriek. Inside was a narrow staircase, leading down. I didn't want to go, but I did. The air grew cold as I descended. The steps were old concrete, slick with moisture. The basement wasn't like the rest of the house. It was raw, unfinished, like it had been hidden before the house was even built. There were no tools, no boxes, no shelves, just a single crib in the center of the room, and something inside it, covered in a white sheet. My phone buzzed. A new video. It was from an unknown number. Again, it showed me, standing in this very basement, smiling. The timestamp said, tomorrow, 3:17 a.m. I didn't lift the sheet. I wanted to. Every part of me was screaming to see what was under it, but some instinct, deeper than logic, held me back. Instead, I stepped closer and looked around. The room was bare. No furniture, no wiring, just cracked stone walls and a dirt smell that clung to my skin. Then I heard a sound. Not from the crib, from the wall, a slow scratching, like fingernails. The sound circled the room, moving, faster, closer. I backed toward the stairs, but they were gone. The doorway bricked up, like it had never existed. Then the scratching stopped. The sheet moved, just slightly. I blacked out, or fell asleep. I don't remember. When I opened my eyes, I was back in the living room. It was still dark. My flashlight was dead. I checked my phone. 3:16 a.m., exactly 1 minute before the time on the video. I turned slowly. Behind me, where the hallway began, stood a child. Her head tilted, hair covering her face. She whispered something I couldn't hear, then took one step forward. My phone buzzed again. New video. It started playing on its own. It showed me, running, but not out of the house, deeper into it. I ran down the hallway, past rooms that hadn't been there before. The wallpaper changed colors as I moved. Red, then blue, then gray. Every door I opened led to another hallway, another turn. The house folded in on itself like a maze with no exit. I found myself in the basement again. Same crib, same sheet. Only now there were toys scattered around it. Wooden blocks, a spinning top, all arranged in a perfect circle. One block rolled toward me. It stopped at my foot. The letter on it was R, then another. U, then N. I didn't wait to see the rest. I stumbled into the living room. My phone buzzed again. Another video. In this one, I was standing in front of the mirror above the fireplace, smiling. The reflection wasn't me, it was the girl. Same hair, same eyes, same tilt of the head. She raised her hand in the reflection. So did I. But I wasn't doing it. She was controlling the movement, like a puppeteer, and her mouth didn't smile. It opened and whispered, "Stay." I woke up in my car, parked outside the Hollow Creek house. Morning light filtered through the windshield. My phone was dead. My head was pounding. On my wrist, 4 deep scratches, just like the ones on the wall in the child's bedroom, and written on my window in fog from the inside. See you tonight. I didn't go home. I didn't go anywhere. I just sat in the car for hours watching the house. No one came. No lights, no movement. Just that same stillness, like the whole place was holding its breath. But I knew I'd go back in. I had to. I crossed the yard just before sunset. The front door was back, hinged, solid, almost like new. I stepped inside. The house welcomed me. The furniture was clean. The lights worked somehow. It felt wrong. Then I saw the room, a new one. Not there before. All 4 walls were mirrors. In the center, a single wooden chair. I stood there watching myself from all angles. But the reflections didn't match. One blinked when I didn't. One tilted its head. One smiled. Only the fourth stared back, motionless. Then the door behind me slammed shut. In the mirror room, I found a box. Old wood. Brass hinges. Inside, VHS tapes. Dozens of them. Each one labeled with a name. Some I recognized from the list I found weeks ago. Liam, Elise, Kenny, and me. Multiple tapes. Some labeled Attempt 1, Attempt 2, Success. I played the one marked with my name. Final. It showed me walking through the house, smiling, sitting in the chair, never leaving, until the image degraded into static, and behind the static, something moved, something wearing my face. I don't know how long I sat in that room, watching those tapes, watching myself over and over again. Each version of me did something slightly different. Some ran, some screamed. One just cried until the tape ran out. But they all ended the same, with me sitting in the chair, smiling, until I wasn't me anymore. I looked into the mirrors again. All 4 reflections were moving differently now. One cried, one bled, one grinned too wide. And the last? The last one stood up, inside the mirror. The air grew heavy. I couldn't move. The reflections stepped closer, hands against the glass, whispering things I couldn't hear. Then the 4th mirror shattered. Glass rained around me, and from the empty frame stepped me, but older, grayer, eyes hollow, movements slow and jagged, like a puppet yanked by invisible strings. He sat in the chair and smiled. Finally, he whispered, "You made it back." I tried to run, but the house closed in. The door vanished. The windows vanished. The last thing I saw before everything went dark was my reflection, waving.